All right, welcome everybody to LinkedIn Tuesday. We're happy to have you with us. Today we are going to talk about how to use LinkedIn for job hunting, strategies that get results. So before we go into it, I wanted to go ahead and let you know that this event will be recorded. The recording may be on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Comments in the Zoom chat window do not appear in the recording. So at the bottom in the chat, please use the chat box to answer or to enter your question if you have a question for Locke as we go through his presentation. Just to give you a little bit of background about Career DFW and Jeff Morris, he founded Career DFW in 2008. He started CareerUSA.org in 2012 when he saw the greater need to help job seekers nationwide. He also wrote the book, What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. And if you run into him, he probably has a couple of copies of his book. You can also find it on Amazon. He has led the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group since 2007, and he's a member of the PIT Crew since 2017. As for me, I'm your current guest host while Jeff is recovering. I am a job seeker and I'm looking for account management work in the marketing research area. Just to give you, whoops, sorry. I think I went too far. Here we go. I think, sorry, things are just moving really quickly here. So we have four LinkedIn professionals that join us, Locke Alderson, Terry Sullivan, Ruth Lipsky, and Kurt Vandemotter. And so they rotate and come in and share their expertise on LinkedIn on Tuesdays with us. So we do have LinkedIn Tuesdays, as you can see here. On Wednesdays, we have the practice interview team. And then on Friday, we have the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. There are plenty of other special sessions that you can look at and attend on the careerdfw.org webpage. So with that, we have the practice interview team on Wednesdays, and that meets at Christ United Methodist Church in Plano on the first, second, third, and fifth Wednesdays of the month. It is live and not on Zoom, and on the fourth Wednesdays, it is via Zoom. On Friday, we have the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, and this Friday we will have Chat GPT for Job Search Success with Rusty Wright. So we also have the Career DFW and Career USA LinkedIn groups. You can join those, and we have over 15,000 members for careerdfw.org, and we also have the careerusa.org as well that you can join. When you go to YouTube, we have previous sessions recorded on there that you can watch at your leisure. So you can click on playlists and then you can view full playlists. You'll find a LinkedIn Tuesday sessions, and then you will see the list of with all of them as it looks here. So if you aren't receiving emails about our workshops, you can join the Career USA mailing list. You can scan the QR code or send an email to Career USA subscribe@groups.io. Also, please note that Career DFW is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. We survive on donations. Please consider making a donation when you get your next job. And if your new company makes matching donations, we are registered. If you do not see us listed, let us know who they use. So today we have Locke Alderson with us, who's going to talk to us about how to use LinkedIn for job hunting strategies that get results. And Locke is a retired professional and executive recruiter. He was a senior recruiter at Oracle from 2006 to 2010, recruiting and hiring Oracle and Siebel CRM consultants, managers, and executives. Prior to joining Oracle, Locke was previously a principal recruiter at Siebel from 1998 until 2006, where he recruited Siebel CRM consultants and managers. Locke began working with those in job and career transition in 2001 while at Siebel and something he continues to do today. So with that, I will turn it over to Locke.
Well, good afternoon, all. I'm going to, where's the share screen, Patty? We'll work that and we'll.
Probably for you, it's under the more. I have the share button at the bottom. I think you found it under more. There we go.
Okay, well, this is my bio up there. I'm going to move something down so I can share the screen.
We can see your screen. You can just put it
No.
in presentation mode.
There we go. Okay, well, that is my background and my bio up there on the screen. I'll see if I can move this up so it's not
We
blocking
can
that.
see it.
But as Patty mentioned, I was a recruiter off and on for 42 years. I had my own recruiting firm as part of that for 12 years after here in Texas. And I've spent 22 years working with those in your career and job transition. Well, that's kind of my background. One of the things that I want to talk about in this part of my life, because I've been laid off 5 times and got fired once during my career, my reliance on scripture and looking at the Bible for encouragement. This is a verse from the Old Testament from Jeremiah. For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope in the future. One of the things that came up, I was watching our sermon Couch Church on Sunday, and our pastor was starting a series called Relationships in Real Life. And I realized that one of those relationships is your job relationship. Well, two of the high points in his message were showing up and opening up. Well, showing up in terms of LinkedIn is basically getting found on LinkedIn. That's one of the things we want to talk about today to help you get found. And if you aren't found, some steps that you can take to get there. The other one is opening up, and that's showing what you've done and how well you've done it. So those are the two kind of overview principles we want to talk about. But I guess the one question to ask yourself is, why are you using LinkedIn? Is it for networking? Are you looking to find jobs? Are you looking to get found for jobs? So those are the things that you want to do. But if you're looking to get found by a recruiter or hiring manager, what are you doing to accomplish that? The first part of the presentation is designed to cover that, getting found on LinkedIn. And one of the reasons we all use LinkedIn is it's got started as a tool. I've been on since 2005, I guess, for sales and marketing personnel to network together. And recruiters quickly found it as a source of people because there was enough information about people on LinkedIn that they could use that for finding people versus a source for candidates. And it is used by job hunters. One job hunter mentioned that LinkedIn has been an irreplaceable tool in my job search. The ability to show employers the exact experience that I have and my skills on my profile is ultimately what led for a job. And I know I've worked with a candidate who said changing his LinkedIn profile got him the interview. It didn't get him the job, but it did get him the interview for the job. So that's one of the things there. These are the kind of topics we're going to talk about in terms of your profile, your headline, and your open to work section. And if you're not using the open to work, you need to do that unless you're in job stealth mode. And even then, there's a way that you can use it. We'll talk about your dashboard, what that's all about. And they call out your analytics now in your about section. It used to be called a summary. LinkedIn, in their infinite wisdom, has given its own names to it. Your work history and your skills and endorsements, and then optimizing your profile, and then getting into the search mode, finding jobs for you and how that happens. So what are you doing to attract managers and recruiters' attention? Because first impressions are vitally important. You've heard the saying, perhaps, that recruiters look at resumes for 6 to 10 seconds. And the same is true for looking at profiles. They look at them for 6 to 10 seconds. And there's so many profiles on LinkedIn that they could do that. They can afford to do it. So if you don't have what they're looking for, they'll move on to the next candidate. But it all starts with your profile. This is a copy of my profile, an early version. You notice I've got a background photo there. I've got a headshot. Some of the people that use that background or banner position also include things like their name and their phone number. And again, being able to be found on LinkedIn, being able to contact somebody with your phone number is vitally important. In this particular situation, I've got open to work. It doesn't show this is an early shot. It doesn't show that that banner from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock on open to work. But your your profile is that first impression, and your headline needs to share things that are going to attract people's attention. I worked with a candidate yesterday, and she may be on the call today. With her permission, I'll go ahead and comment on that. But she talked about her areas of expertise and not the job titles that she's looking for. And recruiters do search by job title. They don't necessarily search for financial management or accounting. Those are not necessarily the things that they look for. So when somebody looks at your profile, what do they see? Again, and another question that you want to ask, how long has it been since you've updated your profile? And I thought about that and added this to the presentation because somebody in a LinkedIn presentation talked about freshness guarantee on your resume and on your profile. And what does that mean? Well, how many of you do your grocery shopping when you go to the grocery store and you're in the vegetable area and you squeeze a tomato and feel whether it's soft or not? You look at an apple, is it red or green? Again, if it's green and a bunch of if it's red apples and then there's a green apple, you probably don't want to choose that one. Or if you're looking in the meat section and you notice that the expire date or best used by date is past, that's probably one that you want to take a pass on. Same thing for bread and other produce items as well. So how long has it been since you've updated your profile? And that update may be something real simple, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. Again, with respect to your profile, you have 6 to 10 seconds to get my attention. What do you see? Has this changed from the last one that you see? Well, one thing that you notice, I've got that open to work banner from about 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock on that. And that allows you to share an additional 5 job titles that you might be looking for. And again, job titles are important. I mentioned that because in looking at people's backgrounds, they're going to look for something that you've done. I give an example. When I moved from Siebel over to Oracle, and we were still supporting the Siebel product, I was looking for a Siebel consultant in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I ran a posting in that marketplace, and I got 75 responses. From a recruiting standpoint, that's a pretty good number of responses. However, 50 of them did not even have the word Siebel in their resume. The remaining 25, I were looking for those 25 to see how many times Siebel was mentioned. If it was mentioned once, they probably use Siebel as a software product. If it's mentioned 10 times, they're probably the candidate I might want to look further at if they actually installed Siebel as a product. So that's just something to remember. The more times that you have titles, job titles in your resume, the higher it's going to be when the candidate is searching. Well, that's one of the search criteria is job titles. So you're going to rank high in that particular section. Okay. So what does completing your profile have to mean? Well, again, LinkedIn gives a value to each section of your profile. Also gives a value for your activity on LinkedIn, and it keeps track of those things. So the more times that you have complete status in those kind of things, like in your profile, your name, your headshot, what you're looking for, it's going to give you credit for those activities. The headline default, and if you don't have a headline put in there that you decided upon, LinkedIn will do it for you. It's going to default to the last time, your last job title in your profile. Does your headline identify who you are? Does it say what you do? And does it grab somebody's attention? Those are the kinds of things that a headline is designed to do. So let's take a look at some headlines. Unemployed and retired seeking new opportunity are all probably truthful statements about that candidate. However, they're not in the most positive light. Again, this one formally is another one of those where, again, formally has negative connotations. So this is a little bit better. Seeking a new opportunity for a digital design engineer. Gives a little bit more information, gives the reader of this something to cogitate or think about in light of their requirements. Another one, this is more detailed. Again, it uses some abbreviations like PR for public relations. Again, print and digital media, something that a social media strategist should be responsible for. And marketing and corporate communications is important in this one. Supply chain, procurement, and purchasing, pretty succinct, but it's short. But again, somebody that's looking for somebody with a supply chain background in purchasing, that might be somebody that they at least look further in the profile. Senior accountant, again, one of those acronyms, GL. Sometimes they actually spell out some of those, but general ledger, GL stands for general ledger, or accounts receivable is AR, and AP for accounts payable. Are all words that you can use. Here's another one for executive assistant. I do a search in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for executive assistants. There Right now, it's probably about 30,000 have that in their profile in a market with about 7 million, 8 million people in the Dallas-Fort Worth marketplace. IT project manager with ITIL and Scrum and Agile, those are all buzzwords that are hot buzzwords for IT recruiters. So that's a pretty good one for somebody to have in their profile if they've got that experience. General manager, manufacturing and aerospace, again, pretty descriptive, pretty succinct, very short, but again, it focuses in on aerospace manufacturing at a managerial level, at an executive level. Here are some
Locke,
other things. Go ahead, Patty.
I had a question for you. If you go back to that other page that you were just on, I've seen in some people's profiles that they have like X Google, like X hyphen Google, X hyphen Amazon. Um, and so how valuable do you think that is, since those are, I guess, pretty big target companies that I think a lot of people
Well,
want to get into?
it kind of depends. I know as a recruiter, I would be curious enough to take a little bit deeper look on somebody's profile, because Amazon and Google are two of the hot companies with respect to artificial intelligence these days. So anybody who's had that experience, everybody's looking for artificial intelligence. If you'd say how many of the job postings that are on the internet right now, I'd probably say 10 to 15% at least mention that. So that's one that you want to look further as a recruiter or hiring manager. Those are premier companies that tend to hire the best of people if you're also looking at. So you have a pretty good pedigree if you've got mentioned that in your profile, unless you don't. And then it's a negative for you. So that's something to just consider. But let's take a look at these. Somebody gave me this about a year ago of adding to your headline. You can add adjectives in there, and we'll take a look at mine in just a second for that. Starting with an adjective, you can issue several titles. Again, I mentioned having multiple titles. In your headline, you've actually got 220 characters that you get to play with. And I played around with mine yesterday just a little bit. So mine is a little bit more up to date, if you will, and examples of what you've done. A dynamic program manager driving brand awareness. That probably, if somebody's looking for a program manager, again, or a product manager, those are something that you might want to look at. Again, we'll see an example of one a little bit later on some of the examples of a search. Here's an old headline for me. You can notice mine again there. Again, it's pretty short and succinct. That was probably down to that's about 90 characters right there in my headline. Again, you can check your headline strength by that headline at sharethrough.com and see what they look like. After I'd revised my headline, this is what it looked like. And I'm using that pipe character there, and I'll try and do it gentle right here because my touch screen is very sensitive. This pipe character or a backslash, if you use that in your headlines, be sure to leave a space on either side, because if you don't, the term that you put it in is not going to be a searchable term. And that's what you want to do. But when I ran it through the headline generator like this, I guess the second time I ran it through, initially my overall rating was about a 70 for 70% engagement or 55% for impression. After I added some adjectives in that you see there, my impressions went up about 5 points to about 80 points. My overall impression went up to 72 from 50, and the overall score went up again from 55 to 75. So that could do some little things like that can help you be found on a profile. I mean, when somebody's doing a search. Here are some other descriptive headlines that you can notice: accountant, senior accountant. Again, adding some descriptive information about increasing productivity in highly regulated industries like utilities. So somebody who's recruiting in that area would know, they know something about regulations, utility regulations. Customer experience, helping the business become more customer-centric with goal of increasing sales through customer retention. It costs more to find new clients for a business than it does to retain your existing customer. And again, business analysts able to bridge the gap between techies and management. When I was with Oracle, we loved to have business analysts because they could speak to the client, the customer, and take it back to the techies to implement the software. Here's some other ones that are descriptive. Again, using additional things, additional information, like the digital indexes to reduce hospital admission paperwork. Again, anybody that can save 50% is going to save time and money and people. They're not going to need as many people to do something. This is another verse of scripture that I found. And you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you, trust in the Lord. Again, that was one that I happened to find as I was working on the presentation this week. Again, are you open to work? And again, I've got that open to work banner there. Again, what it does is allow recruiters to know more information about you. Again, the thing, you notice the 5 titles that I've got down there. Again, the other things that it'll do will tell you whether you're working on-site, hybrid, or remote, and where you want to work. If you're looking to relocate, this is definitely where you want to say that you're open to relocation. Okay, it's something that's there. That open to work section looks like this. As you start to add things, you notice that there's a recruiter there, and as you start to add a career consultant, as I started to type that in, LinkedIn uses some artificial intelligence, and you can choose from that menu. If you happen to type in something that's not recognized in the library of title or job titles LinkedIn has in their library, it won't let you add that one. Notice you can look workplace, on-site, hybrid, or remote, and also the locations that you want. You can have multiple locations. And where are you in your job search? I'm available immediately. I'm looking right now. Recruiters like that because the cycle to hire somebody, go through the industry, recruiting and review profiles or resumes, interview, and make an offer to somebody could be anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. But somebody who's open now can maybe start to work Monday. And that fills a job that may bring revenue to the company. That's 8 additional weeks of revenue that may be missed if they wait on someone.
Locke, I have a question for you.
Sure, another question. Go
So
ahead.
what are your thoughts about using quantifiable statements in the about section versus job titles? Or maybe you meant the headline, Vincent.
Well, we haven't gotten to the about section, so I
Must
kind
be
of
the
I meant the
headline.
head. I'm sorry. I meant the headline. Sorry.
In
the
the
headline.
headline.
Rephrase the question for me, please.
So in the headline, I've seen where some individuals will put not just their title, but they would also put some type of, senior manager, and then they'll put able to reduce, their objective by X number. I've seen something like that. So I was just
Well,
curious. What are your
I would suggest trying it. Trying
okay?
it for a week, see if it gets you any attention. If it doesn't, remove it. Again, remember I mentioned the freshness guarantee. If you go in and change something on your resume, you should be changing something on your resume if you're job hunting at least once a week, whether it's the job title, the headline, anything that you change like that, because anytime that you refresh your resume, it comes into the system as a fresh resume. And
Got
freshness is one of those criteria that LinkedIn uses as a search criteria. And when your fresher resumes are the ones that recruiter wanted to look like. Because it used to be when people were, in demand kinds of jobs, like project manager, project leader, sometimes those jobs get filled in a hurry. So people who would get a call from a recruiter, they say, well, I've already accepted a job. No, I'm not interested. So again, freshness guarantee matters to recruiters as well as it does to you. Used to be the old say about recruiting, when you were sending in a resume, you want to be first or last. Because if you're first, that's the first one in their stack. If you're last, it's the last one in. So again, those are some of the things to think about when you work with resumes. Okay, but this is the open
Thank
to work section and the freedom that it offers you. For those people that are in stealth mode, one of the things that this allows you to do is to choose whether you want it to see down there at the statement at the left, choose whether you want only recruiters and recruiters who've chosen the LinkedIn package. There is a license that you can buy from LinkedIn for recruiters called Recruiter or Recruiter Lite. Kurt Vandemotter has the recruiter package. I think he spends $10,000 a year for each of the 2 seats that his firm has. Midge Duncan, another lady that I work with in another network group, she's an executive recruiter. She just has the Recruiter Lite. That's $5,000 a year. The difference is one is domestic to the United States, the other is worldwide. So again, but you can limit it to see recruiters, but not all recruiters buy the package. I never bought the package. I was always a free user on LinkedIn. So again, but you can open it up to recruiters if you're in a stealth mode, if you have a job and looking for something else. One of the candidates I talked to recently is in stealth mode right now. So she's not publicly putting a resume out there on job boards or opening up her profile to everybody. Okay. Your homepage has got your analytics on it. Okay. When you look at that, there's some tools there. How many post impressions? Well, my post impressions jumped up, as you see there, 960 in the last 7 days. That's simply because I posted information about this presentation today. And a lot of people, my 6,400 viewers, followers, have got a copy of that in their email feed from LinkedIn. But it also shows down here a profile. profile views, but also shows the search appearances. So profile view and somebody who's a search appearance is what you're looking for. So they can see that, but they may not have looked deeper and looked at your profile, which is what you're looking to do, but it gives you that. But it also has some other information about where some of those companies, who some of the people are at those companies. And they may be companies that are on your list, but you haven't considered them, or companies that you haven't considered that may have openings for someone like you. And are you using the featured section? This happens to be for me. These are just some of my presentations that I've done. I need to update this page because I've updated some of these presentations and they're no longer the most current ones that I've used. Like today's presentation, the last one that's shown here is November 23. But you can put that, you can put a copy of your resume here. You can put a portfolio if you have one. If you're, my son is a motion graphic designer. He's got his portfolio here. For somebody in advertising, you could have it there. Or if you have publications, you can put some of those there as well. But it gives you an additional exposure for something else. We moved on to the summary section. It used to be, well, the about section is now called what used to be your summary section. This happens to be a pretty good one. I disagree with Terry Sullivan, who's one of the other presenters on this. He says keep your paragraphs to 3 or 4 sentences. I like this one, even though it's particularly long. I guess there's about 10 sentences here. It's because he's used bold to highlight some things in there. He also had, which is vitally important, and if you're not doing it, I strongly suggest that you do it, put your contact information at the top of the about section. Because if I'm not directly linked to you and you haven't opened up your privacy settings, I may have no way of contacting you except through somebody else and second and third degree connections. So if you have your contact information there, put it at the top of your about section, maybe further down as well. It could be multiple places, like in your banner on your headline. But this one mentions a couple of things. This individual has a background in financial planning and analysis. He's used the abbreviation there once, but if the abbreviation you're using is not a particularly well-known one, I misspell it out at least once, or if it's an abbreviation that's used by multiple organizations like AMA, American Medical Association, American Marketing Association, American Motorcycle Association, are all ones that use that acronym. So spell it out the first time that you use that. Again, you want to have, generally speaking, 4 or 5 lines of description and then move on with a blank line between, so it's easy to read. Again, 30-second commercial. What do you do? You know, what kinds of things are you known for? Here are some other sample sample summaries. Again, one of the things that you could do with LinkedIn that's acceptable, you can use first person, which is not recognized or recommended when you're writing your resume. He talks about some of those accomplishment-oriented kind of statements. I'm grateful to partner with world-class award-winning companies in the executive coaching, leadership, and development. This is a particularly strong one that I recommend for people. Another one down at the bottom, I'm strategic, creative, and hands-on marketer. Again, those kinds of phrases, if they're alone in a resume, tend to be regarded as fluff because they don't have examples to support them. And as I mentioned, one of the things that you want to do is, in addition to showing up on your resume, is the other thing that I mentioned is opening up. What have you done? What are things you're willing to talk about on your profile? Here's a caption for the experience section. This happens to be for my profile. You want to have your job title, the company names and dates. You want to have your responsibilities or duties, and try to limit that to 3 to 5 lines, as I've done here. And bulleted areas of accomplishment. If you notice in here, I've got 3.5 lines. It's jumping ahead. And 2 accomplishments that are there. I've also got included an email from the director of recruiting when I left Oracle Corporation. I just put that in there. It's just another piece of information that shows what I've done, that I've made a contribution to Oracle in that respect. The other thing I mentioned was an accomplishment. In this particular study, you notice the 2 that are highlighted there. As a recruiter, that you were the top recruiter among 50, a couple of quarters in a row in the 4 years that I was with Oracle Corporation. The other things that LinkedIn has allowed you to add now is to have the additional sections on your resume. And if you are not working, one that is critical that you include, because the last date of your last employment is one of the factors that LinkedIn considers. So if you don't have a current position, that marks you down in that particular area. So you want to include your current position, and it may look like this. This particular one, just a senior software applications developer. They're looking for a full-time position, and the types of company you're talking about, the industry that you may be interested in, okay? And location. I've started to type in DA, and that's for the artificial intelligence on LinkedIn allows you to see some of the others from the drop-down menu. But you have to be careful because there's also a Dallas, Georgia and a Dallas, Oregon. This one, if you're a project kind of person, this one allows you to add projects. Again, this is just when I was a program manager with the Dallas-Fort Worth Staffing Management Association. And I did that for about, and this says about 3 years, okay, 3.5 years. But that allows you to do that, particularly if you've been in jobs where it's been project oriented, or if you've been in a lot of consulting organizations like those that work for in the software industry. I know with Oracle, I would receive a lot of resumes where people had worked for some of the consulting firms, and they'd have a page for each project that they'd worked on. So that's something to add additional information about. When I was a recruiter, I could scan through that to see what kind of hardware, software, and systems they may have worked on, looking for that kind of background. The size and scope of the project as well as completed. Was it on budget? Was it completed on time? Or was it under budget? Talk about skills and develop. This is another key area that recruiters look at is for your skills. And you can look down now. I need to change this because I've seen some people's profiles that have up to 100 skills that you can add now. They've added that. It's not changed on my profile. LinkedIn tends to roll those kind of things out periodically, and I don't know the exact reason why. But you can add a skill. You can notice the ones that are there. If you click on that, it will automatically move it up to that side. Again, if it's a skill that is not recognized by LinkedIn as you start to type it, it won't let you add it. Okay. Well, the other thing about skills is LinkedIn, if you don't choose the skill, choose the 3 that you want to appear. I met with somebody yesterday. She had 100 skills on her profile. And the ones that she had at the top of her list were not the ones that I would look for as a recruiter. So again, the way that you go about changing that, this is a way to find out what the skills are. And this is included. This is something new that Ruth included in one of her presentations a couple of weeks ago. You notice down at the bottom of this, there's something that's called skip ahead. Oh. Skip ahead, right? Sorry, my touch screen is very important. But it has down here at the bottom of the paragraph, skip ahead, and it will skip ahead to a screen that looks like this. Career Explorer's LinkedIn list of skills. Again, one of the things that you need to recognize about this, though, is the number of skills that it has similar skills for. And this is particularly this was for an implementation project manager. These were some of the skills that are utilized by an implementation project manager and their popularity over in that chart over to the right. It's also limited to major metropolitan areas. So if you're looking in Plano, Texas, it doesn't do as well as you with Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Again, that's something to look at. And that link in at the bottom, there is the URL for it at the bottom so that you can go it. And the one at the bottom that you want to use, because at the one at the top excludes that number sign Explorer at the bottom there. But when you get your skills, are they organized for maximum impact? Well, if they're not, you see those 3 dots there. If you clicked on the pencil back there on your skill, and you click on those 3 dots up there, it allows you to go to, and one of the boxes, reorder skills and endorsements. You can hold your cursor over the 4 lines at the right and drag and drop the ones that you want. You notice I've got executive search, consulting, and talent acquisition. There's all those other ones that mention recruiting down at the bottom. Okay, the ones that you can do that. But you can reorder those periodically, and that's another way that you can refresh your profile. Go in and reorder them maybe once a week. See if it doesn't get you some more activity on your profile. The other thing that you can do, and you may not have thought of this, is take a look at other people's profile. And you might ask, well, why would I want to do that? Well, I did a search for a recruiter in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and you notice when I did this search, there's 26,506 people. Again, not all of those are job hunters, but you want to find when you do that kind of a search, are you showing up in that search? When I was actively working with Oracle and with Siebel, I would typically show up in the first 10 screens, and actually usually in the first 2 screens because of the Dallas-Fort Worth, because I was an active recruiter during that time. But you can look at their profiles and find if you aren't showing up in that first 10 screens, that's 100 thumbnail sketches, and open a look at some of what they do and what they say, and copy some of that if it applies to you in your profile. See if it doesn't improve your activity level. Again, this is looking at somebody's profile and just somebody in that, but she has recruiter. She doesn't have a lot of recruiter in her background, but again, that's there. Okay. Let's shift gears a little bit. We're about halfway through the hour and take a look at job search. How does LinkedIn actually run searches, and how do recruiters search? And then some results from recruiters, and then how do you go about searching for jobs? So what are recruiters really looking for? First, well, as I mentioned, each section of your profile has a value and for your activity, and your search is based on the sum of these values. The search results are based on the sum of the values that they have. The higher scores appear at the top of the list of the recruiter or hiring manager's results. Then they tend to take what are they really looking for? Job titles, as I mentioned. And you have several places that you can mention that in your current and past jobs, in your headline, your open to work, and your about, and your employment sections. So the more times that you have it in there, the higher the ranking that you're going to be when they look for skills. Okay. Another area that you can look at is keywords and skills. Keywords, if you don't know what those are, take a look at some of the job postings that you're interested in and take a look at how you look at those. Those are the keywords and the skills that they're looking for. So that's another source of where you find information. Companies are interested, recruiters are interested in industries and specific companies. Healthcare is notorious about looking for people with backgrounds in healthcare. We'll look at a couple of search results in a minute. You can see that somebody's looking for high tech kind of background or project management. Education is important. You know, what is the pedigree that they're looking for? I know when I looked for a job one time here in Dallas, they were looking for an MBA from a top 10 business school in the United States. Well, University of California, depending on whose rankings that you're looking at, often appears in that top 10 for MBAs. Geographic location. Frequently, recruiters are looking for people that live within 20 to 25 miles of their location, because that's what applicants have said. I don't want to drive more than 20, 25 miles to work. Or if somebody's open to relocation or to travel, again, that's something that they look for as well. Current and prior companies and your length of service. Again, that's something recruiters really do look at your pedigree, you know, where you've been and what you've done. This is just, and then recruiters actually look at the more detailed information in your summary and your actual experience. This is actually a screen from one of the presentations Kurt Vandemotter did from the recruiter package, software package, a license that LinkedIn sells. Again, you notice all the criteria that are shown over here on the left column: job titles, locations, skills and assessments, education. There are 3 screens like that. They can search through. This one was done. There were 710 million people on LinkedIn. It's now over 8. That's million in the world. There are now close to 1 billion people on LinkedIn. So they can search through all of those within 30 seconds and come up with a list of maybe 70 candidates that you would want to look at. Then we take a look at an actual search. This was for a project manager in, where was this? In the greater Seattle area. And they would also look at product managers. Those 2 terms are used somewhat interchangeably. And they were also looking for high-tech companies like Microsoft, Amazon, and Fluke, which are all headquartered up in the Seattle area. And they tossed in education like the University of Washington. For this, there were about 6,900 candidates showed up, and 2,500 of those had company connections. They were following the company. So again, people like low-hanging fruit when they start their list to narrow it down. This is for a project manager in Chicago. Again, they would consider somebody from either one of the coasts, like the Bay Area or New York. And they would also business strategy and analytics. And then Northwestern University is just north of Chicago in Evanston. But they were looking for high-tech companies like Google. Somebody mentioned Google and Facebook and LinkedIn. So they were looking for somebody with that kind of pedigree, if you will. Okay, searching for jobs, you have 2 options. There's a search box up by the LinkedIn icon up there on most of your search screens. But if you click the Jobs tab shown there in white, you have 2 options: the search jobs and search locations. One, if you put search jobs and put a title in there and don't enter a location, it will default to the United States, or unless you've actually run a couple of searches for other titles, and it will go to the local area. This is actually for a sales representative and because I didn't enter a location, again, it defaults to the United States, which that's kind of a search as about jobs. There were almost 200,000 job results. And again, we don't know the freshness of those. That's where the date posted comes in. Again, but that's what you do by not putting location. This one was for a senior accountant at Plano, Texas, just north of was just north of Dallas. And you notice at that time, I had put that there were 144 accountants opening. The description of the job is over here at the left on the right. Again, my phone is beeping in my ear. Sorry about that. But as you scroll down, if you went down to the one down here at Sintra, it would show that job there, and then you could actually look at the qualifications for that job. This is actually the list of filters. This is the older screenshot. Now, when you do take a look at the filters, it's going to be the right third of your page. But you notice that some are there. Most of the jobs on most of the job boards are going to be permanent full-time jobs. But you can notice for part-time positions or temporary positions or internships or contract positions are there. I know a lot of people that I looked at when I was with Oracle and with Siebel were on contract. And I know I've done a number of assignments as a contract recruiter. Again, the freshness guarantee here, I've checked a week. Most of the time when you look at jobs, you want to look at jobs that are fairly fresh. And you can do that within the past 24 hours, the past week. Some of the other job boards allow you to make it the last 3 days. So I recommend at least the past week. Something that LinkedIn picked up from Indeed.com as a salary criteria. Again, you can look at jobs. You notice of how many jobs we had, over 2,000 jobs. Most of those were 40K or less. And only about 50 of those jobs were above 120. So you can look by that. You can look at industry. You can look by company. You can also use the easy apply function. And some of the times that's shown on some of the job boards is you can easily apply. You only want to use that if it allows you to upload a current resume, because sometimes LinkedIn will just take your profile. If it doesn't allow you to upgrade a resume, it will take your profile. And that's not the best representation to talk about yourself for a specific job. Okay. Again, coaching for jobs. This was for a quality assurance manager. I did this one as a part of a presentation of the local quality assurance quality management group here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Again, I used it because I wanted to show people, most of the people were there are professional management, but by doing that, it's going to include all the managerial positions. But again, it's going to include those who are a quality inspector or technician as well. So we're refining it to adding the term manager, and it dropped from about 1,900 to 174. So it eliminated about 90% of the job postings. Okay, and I added the past week. So those are some of the things that you can do with that. This one happens to be for an executive assistant. I put in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And as I mentioned, by adding some criteria to it, there were about 960 results. Okay. But that Dallas, Georgia comes in there, and how Allegheny, Pennsylvania got in there, I don't know. Sorry about that. This one was for a recruiter. One of the things I like about this one, it allows you to do a job alert button, and you can turn that radio button, push it to the right, and it will allow you to have job alerts sent to you daily or weekly. And again, if you send it daily, it comes in about 8 o'clock every morning. I still get a few for those because I've run searches for people while we're together. But you can do that and select those. So you don't have to go out and search for jobs every time. New jobs that are posted that meet your criteria, whether it's for a specific industry or a specific company or a specific job title, will come into you fairly fresh. Again, wrapping up and giving you some homework. As I mentioned, use the name that you normally use on your resume. My legal name is John Locke Alderson Jr. Again, I use Locke Alderson because that's the name I go by. Those contact the marketeers that call on telemarketers that call me and ask for John Alderson. I ask which one because there's my dad and my son all have the same name. My dad happened to have passed away about 20 years ago. So again, if they ask for him, I say, well, I'm sorry, you missed him by about 20 years. So refresh the profile. Again, do something on your profile at least once a week to freshen it up. And job title, you have an opportunity to use multiple titles there, so do so. And not including a headline. Was going to default to the last job title that you had, and that may not be what you're looking for in the way of a job. Use the open to work section below your headline. It allows you to add more job titles, and do list your phone number and an email address on the first line of your profile. I don't know how many times I've found good candidates that I wanted to talk to. I had no way of reaching out to except through somebody else. In your experience section, list the company names, titles, and duties, but also show the measurable results for performing those duties. They do add credibility to your experience. Keywords and phrases and skills, and do a people search. That's all we've got. I'll turn this one over We're going to switch. And Patty, are you still with me?
I am.
Let's see if I can share again. We tried that earlier, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Okay. We're going to enter somebody's. Okay, I'll enter me. Okay, let's take a look at my profile real quick, like to show you some examples of some things. Okay, that's me up there. You notice my headshot, my banner shot behind me. You notice that I opened to work. For some reason, it isn't showing the banner show here. Well, I guess it's showing the details. The analytics there show that I mentioned to you, the resources that are available, my about section. Again, the about section only shows 3 lines, 2 or 3 lines. So you want to have your contact information there where it's easily shown. Feature section, the activity level, my postings, and my experience. The other thing I'll mention about experience, which I didn't mention about the adding a screen for that on your profile, there is a screen that you can add for your volunteer experience. My experience with Meg Group is as volunteer. My experience with Frisco Career Transition Workshop was volunteer. And my work at Lee Heck Harrison was actually paid per work. DFW Career Focus Group was actually volunteer work as well. So you can include that. I included those in my work experience because I had created my profile before they added the opportunity to have volunteer work on your profile. My experience, the skills that are there. You notice the skills. It now allows you to show 2 skills that I've only got 50 shown. But if I hit that button up here, there's that 3 buttons there that I mentioned that you can reorder your profile. Well, that's one of the things that I mentioned to show you about. The other thing that I wanted to touch on was my employment experience. I wanted to show you one thing. Show all the other experience. It's going to limit how much is there, but my experience at Oracle Corporation picks up because it was a merger situation. And this is just text, how you can break up your text in your profile. I've used asterisks because I was using the editor in LinkedIn. If you cut and paste, you can use bullets from Word. But these are just some of the accomplishments that are there for some of the kinds of things that you do. This was a presentation that I gave as well. Contract recruiter. Okay, here's the Oracle experience linking my experience at Siebel together. Okay. Well, those are just some of the things we could do. What I'd like to do now is open it up and see if we have some volunteers. I'll look at their profile or I'll look at their do a job search for them. Patty?
Yep. So if anybody would like to volunteer, we can have Locke pull up your profile and he can take a look at it. So it looks
Feel
like
free
Matt
to look
is
at
raising
Matt.
his hand.
I'm sorry?
Matt Arbuckle.
The type might be dangerous, Matt.
like mine.
Uh,
That's
That's the
me,
first one there.
top one. I
okay.
have some homework there to do.
Well, let's take a look because Matt and I are linked. First degree connection is not quite as critical, but let's take a look at his contact information. He has his phone and email address open to those that are there, that are on LinkedIn. But if I'm not a first degree connection, I may not have access to that. So let's see if he's also put it in his about section. It should go right here at the top. Okay. Again, those are the things that you want to be known for, top skills, and which is
I
allows
got
you
a
to do.
note. I need to add that.
Yeah, that's something that you need to add. Let's take a look. The other thing that I look at for his background at Texas Tech, his licenses, which he's got. You can take courses on LinkedIn now, as well as the AMA courses that he's listed. He's got key performance indicators in communication. Matt, how would you describe yourself in 2 words?
make money for manufacturing companies,
Doing what?
implementing lean manufacturing, improving the bottom line.
Okay, I would put lean, if you have lean manufacturing as one of the skills that you've got, I'd list that. I saw communications is not one of those. Manufacturing would be another one that I'd show.
How do you reorder those in there?
Okay, when you go to the black pencil on that section, when you look at your profile and look at the pencil, for anybody who wants the slide deck, just send me an email and I will send that to you. And it has how to do that in there. Okay, but you go to the skills section and you click on that and you click on the pencil and there should be the 3 dots there. When you click on the 3 dots, it allows you to reorder your skills. Because as a recruiter, I probably would not look for key performance indicators as one of the skills that I was looking for to fill a manufacturing operations position. Our communication, all important, but not the ones that are key skills. Okay,
Thank you.
somebody else.
All right, we've got several people lined up. So Mark Tucker,
Good
Mark
afternoon.
Pepper.
Tucker, Tucker.
Okay,
There's a few of them. Which one are you? The second one there?
The
First
first
one?
one. First one.
The first one at the top.
okay. Notice one of the things about Matt. Again, I want to look at his full profile. It may be that, okay, we're not first degree connections. Okay, I want to scroll down and look and see if he does have, so I can reach him. We are not first degree connections. And his contact information is, he does have his email in there. It's opened up in his security session. Okay, again, Mark, you have used approximately 50 characters in your headline. You're shortchanging yourself by not using more. Leading teams that exceed revenue. Okay, I would use the titles of the jobs that you're looking for. You're open to work.
Okay.
Strategic alliances, channel director. So it sounds a lot more like marketing and sales kinds of opportunities and partnerships, strategic partnership. Those are the kind of titles. What are some of the titles when you look for a job, search for a job? What are some of the titles of the job that come up? Because not all of them are going to have the same title that you're looking for. They may have that information may be buried down in the job itself. So those are the titles that I would tend to add to your profile because it'll increase the visibility of who you are. Okay. Okay, his top skills are sales. Let's see if he mentioned sales up here. Sales is not mentioned. Okay, but yet he's mentioning that's one of his top skills. So that's one that I would have. Cybersecurity is a hot topic area right now. If you've got that kind of experience, AI and artificial intelligence and cybersecurity are two of the top ones that recruiters tend to look for. Okay. Okay. The other thing that I would mention is what kind of software is it? Is it software that's implemented on somebody's site where they buy a package, or is a cloud-based software? If it's that way and it's cloud, I would certainly add that to your profile. Something to add up. Channels. I know I looked for channels partners when I was with Oracle and with Siebel. Quest software. Notice how that's a couple of positions that he's had. George Mason's back in Virginia. His skills is Microsoft products and cybersecurity. So cybersecurity appears to be a hot button for him. And if it's not, reorder your skills. Microsoft products would tend to explain to people that he's got expertise in Microsoft software suite, whatever that is. And those are sold by third parties as well. So that's a pretty good looking profile. Okay. Well, those changes, Mark, I would say you've done a pretty good job.
Great. Thank you.
Somebody else.
All right, we have Vincent Battles. Vincent, Vincent. Last name is Battles.
Like a type would be dangerous, Patty. Okay,
That's the
Vincent,
top.
which one are you?
The top one, probably.
The very top, the top.
Second degree connection.
Okay. The other thing I'll mention, and Jeff mentioned it here, when you're connecting with people, only click on the blue connect button, because otherwise it's an impersonal statement when you send it to people. Okay. So that's one of the things that you can add a note when you do that. So I'm not going to do that right now. I'll just send the button and not add a note as you see here.
I'd
So
like to
you said
clarify
if you,
that.
yeah, if
Go
you
ahead,
click,
Patty.
go ahead.
I was
I
going to
just
say it's the opposite on the phone.
on phone, yeah, phone
Be
you want to
careful
use a white.
Oh, so if you click the blue button,
when you're
it's
on a
personalized.
computer.
Okay.
Then you personalize it. Send, you can add a note and then you
I
can
just
send
sent in a
it.
connect button there because we're not. Okay, notice we're second degree connections. I don't see how I
I've
get
got
in
work.
touch with.
I've
Okay,
got work
right
to
here
do.
in the about section, the top of that,
Okay.
add your contact information. Okay, let's see what is contact information when I open it up, if I'm eligible for it. Nope, I don't have any way to get in touch with Vincent.
Oh, this is good to
Right.
know.
Okay,
That's
transform your
why you
team,
want to have it as
partner with a
personal.
veteran. There are veterans programs with a lot of corporations. I talked to somebody yesterday who has run kind of programs like that. But again, that doesn't tell Vincent, that doesn't tell me what you're looking for in the way of a job.
Okay.
Leadership development, campus recruiting, talent acquisition. Those are job titles that should be also be up there because you've only used about 50 characters in your headline. You've got
Okay.
240.
You have
Not 200.
220 characters, everybody. You should add in your titles there.
Okay, adding your contact information to the top of your about section. You've got good use of the featured section about some of the things that you've done, some of your areas of expertise. Your your activity session, you've got good number of followers. Okay, the other thing I hadn't mentioned, UTD faculty. Again, as a lecturer, that's great. Again, what are some of the things that you've done? I know somebody else that's over there on the faculty program, the MBA program. Volunteer facilitator.
And that's a volunteer role. So should I say volunteer?
No,
Because
you don't have to say volunteer. I don't put volunteer down. It counts as work experience.
okay.
Right?
All right.
If you add qualifiers, they can always eliminate you for it. If they ask you, you'll want to tell them about it, but you don't have to make, you can let them make the assumption. I know when I came to Texas with a company, their executive management, instead of a company picnic, they had a company track meet. So they were looking for people to join their team that had been jocks, had been athletes. Okay. I've been a swimmer, a lifeguard in high school and college, and they thought I was a championship swimmer. Nope. I knew how to swim, yes, but I wasn't a championship swimmer. Okay. The other things that you've done, development, number of these things, what are you looking for in the way of position? One other thing I want to do, license and certifications. A lot of people, have you done things to your license and certification? What have you done to keep current in your profession? He's got a volunteer section, which is great. His skills are design research and executive development. Design research, as somebody that's doing the kind of things that you're doing, I don't know too many people that are doing organizational development kinds of things where they do design research. So that would not be one of the skill sets that I would bring up as my first two, because only two are shown now, if you notice that. Okay. He's got more, but what you're trying to do is to get me to click through and look at the rest of those additional 72. He's got some recommendations. You want to do that too? His recommendations, nothing to see for right now. You should be talking to some of the people, and can you recommend me for the work that I did at such and such a company or that I'm doing now? Okay, and particularly the ones that you've done recently, that's more important, or that in the area where you're looking for work. So give concrete examples of your experience. That's the reason that I included that Oracle statement in my profile. That's something that's old, but again, it relates to what I've done. Does that help you at all?
Oh, absolutely. Is there a length, like, how many years back do you go? The resume is one thing. What about your job profile on LinkedIn? Do you go
I've
20
got
years
all of
back?
mine. I've got all of mine because it cuts it off. If we look
Okay.
at your profile right now, it shows your experience through graduate early research program. It doesn't show, but you have other 9 experiences.
Okay.
So it does it for you here. Resumes, I typically go 10 to 15 years, and there's a natural break in your experience, and that's where you cut it off there. Okay,
Okay.
you can still list those earlier experiences in a section called prior professional experience. Just list the company name, the job title, and if you had a particular accomplishment there, but don't list the dates.
Okay. Thank you so much.
If anybody looked at my profile and could guess how old I am, I would ask you to do that in the chat section real quick, and Patty can look at that and see how old I am. Okay.
Thank
Because
you.
I'm older than Vincent, I'll just say that. Somebody
I'm
else.
up, I'm up there.
Locke, we're at the top of the hour.
Okay. Well, told Patty that I have to cut it short today. I've got another appointment at 2:30. But Patty, I'll let you wrap it up from here. Thanks for everybody for attending. And if you have an interest in the presentation, lockealderson@gmail.com, and I'll try and get it out to you by the end of the day tomorrow.
Great. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Locke, and thanks everybody for joining. Hopefully you can join me next week on LinkedIn Tuesday, where I will have Kurt Vandemotter as my guest. And we also have obviously other sessions this week on North Dallas Plano Group, where we will have Rusty Wright, who will talk about ChatGPT for your job search. So hopefully we will see you at these other sessions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and save the chat. Have a great day.